Well, thanks. Calls.
All right, so we're on. So if you just want to put yourself on mute for now, unless you have a question, I'm going to get started. So as always, I'll let you know what paintbrushes and what colors to use when. And there will be times where you can kind of make a choice of like the little color highlights that we do. So I'll let you know when it's time to make that choice. For now, we're going to be starting with our large paintbrush in the blue paint. So the first step that we're going to do is to situate your moon and to create the separation between the sky, the line that separates the sky and the ground. So as you can see in this one, my moon is a little bit bigger than this, and my ground goes up a little bit higher than it does here, like probably about, I don't know, like 1.5 inches or something. So you're aiming to do your moon in the middle-ish. You can do it off to the side if you want a little bit. It's just that the idea is that the moon is going to reflect onto the water, and you want to be able to see the moon through the trees. So if you do it off center a little bit, that's fine. Just don't put it too like high up in the corner and make it too small. So I'm going to pretty much center mine here. So we're just doing the outline of it. Now keep in mind, it's easier to make it smaller afterwards. But once you do that blue outline, it's kind of tough to make it bigger. So I would say go a little bit bigger than you think you need to, and then you can make it smaller afterwards. And then for the line that separates land and sky, I'm going to kind of find around the halfway point up the canvas. So that's around there. I'll find my halfway points on both sides. See, so it's we can see on either side there. And then you're going to scoop down to connect them. It's almost like you have a one-eyed smiley face. Peggy, did you end up working on your flowers and your grass from last time? You had said that you might try and work on it more. Oh, you're on mute.
I have to, I may try that one over, get another canvas or take some of my daughter's gesso, but my flower stems came out really fat. I have to make them thinner.
Oh, okay.
And, there's no.
You can just go over with white paint on either side of the stem to just thin it out.
Yeah, but they also go down a little bit like through the blue as well. So I figured it was easier, and it won't hurt me to try something over again.
Oh, well, there you go.
So.
Okay, now that you've got your moon situated, what we're gonna do is we're gonna work with, you can wash your brush and then go into the white, or you can, if you don't have too much, like I just wiped the blue off of my brush on my palette, and now I'm gonna go straight into my white, and I'm gonna not fill it in. I'm gonna do a white circle around my blue. And this is gonna kind of be the glow of the moon that's going to blend in with the blue as you work your way out. So we're starting with a white ring around the moon, like the halo kind of thing. And then as you get to the edges, you're gonna work your way in a circular motion to get to the edges, whether it be the line that separates land and sky or the top or both sides. So we want the idea that it's like circles that are like vibrating out towards the edges. as always, the idea is to try and avoid hard lines between colors. So you want your blue and your white to sort of melt into each other. So you see, by doing that, I've kind of lost my white in my blue, but that's okay because the blue that's closer to the moon is lighter. And now I'm just going to go straight into my solid blue as I work my way towards the edges, and it'll naturally get darker. What's different and fun about the in-person painting socials that we do? So it's not subsidized by the Legion. There is a cost. It's $30, but the $30 includes all of your materials, your paint, your canvas, your brushes, everything. And what we also do at our in-person events is we have a break of like 20 minutes in between like the first part and the second part to kind of let people catch up and let dry. And during that 20 minutes, part of the cost that you pay is it also covers refreshments. So we bring little kind of like lunch boxes for everybody, which have sandwiches and veggies and dip and a little dessert. Sometimes, like, you know, some chips or cookies or whatever. There's snacks for everybody. So it's a nice, hence the name Painting Social. It's a kind of walk around and see other people's paintings and have a chat and a snack, and the bar is open so you can go and get yourself a drink and stuff. Astrid's been to a few, Astrid? Oh, Astrid, you're on mute. I can vouch for Astrid that she's been on a few.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoy it each time.
I think people are going to enjoy it even more now, seeing as they've been cooped up for so long, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Greta, do you live in Arundel, or we have a lady, Greta, who's on here.
Yeah.
Hi, Greta. Oh, you're on mute.
Yes.
Do you live in Arundel?
No, I don't. I live in Boileau.
Well,
Boileau?
I'm not sure where that is.
It's between Namur and Arundel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Do you ever go to the Legion?
I used to. I don't anymore.
Yeah.
Are there certain rulings with the Legion, I was wondering? Like as far as the pandemic goes there?
Well, they have to follow all the guidelines, of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't been yet, but I drive by often because my daughter goes to school at Arundel. So I saw that the patio is completely open.
I was there Thursday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So what is the situation? Do they is there distancing? What?
Yeah, well, you wear
tables-
your mask when you arrive. You sit down at a table. You can't move around. They come and serve you.
Okay.
And if you get up from your table, you have to put your mask back on.
Okay.
And there are only 2 households allowed at a table.
Okay,
It's all the same guidelines as everywhere else.
right. So what, like for the art there, you were saying, I suppose the same rules would apply?
The same rules would apply. So, we used to do for the refreshments, we used to just do like big platters and we used to put it out on one table and it was kind of buffet style. But since last summer, what we started doing because of the fact that it was because of the pandemic, we started doing individual lunch, like little lunch boxes. My husband and I run a restaurant, so we have all the takeout containers. So we get the chef to like wrap sandwiches and wrap veggies, everything's separately wrapped. And prepared, like people wearing masks, they have gloves on, stuff like that. So there's no concern there. And then
Okay.
when it comes to the seating arrangements at the Legion, what we'll do is once I know how many people are coming and I have a list of those people, well, I know to only put, 2 households or whatever at one table. Like let's say I had last summer, I had a girlfriend of mine come with her 3 daughters. So that was a table of 4. And then I had 2 other people, 2 more adults, and they were with their children, so they could sit at one table. And then there was somebody who felt more comfortable sitting on their own, so I put them on their own. Everything is distanced properly. And we used to take up to like about 30 people. I think the most I ever had in one event was like 36 at the Legion upstairs in the
36, wow.
yeah, upstairs in the hall. But last summer the numbers outside, I didn't feel comfortable taking more than 15 people, and I think that the most
Okay.
that we had at an event where it was like 12 people, and it worked out really well. There was enough room for space and
Yeah.
everything.
Right, right. Okay, that gives me an idea.
I'm cautious, don't worry.
Oh, I'm sure you are. I was wondering, your paintings so far always have like a big sun or a big moon. It might be a reflection on your upbeat personality.
Maybe. I just I find that it's a fun aspect to put in the painting, and it gives people, they get to make it their own size and their own sort of color. And in these kinds of step-by-step paintings, landscape is always a winner. Like it always kind of works for people, whether they have a lot of experience or not a lot of experience. So we tend to go with stuff like that.
Oh,
But
good.
when I do classes with my kids and with like the kids and stuff, I did recently we did like an underwater mermaid tale, or we've done we did one that was like a tree of life, where it was like the tree that had like 4 seasons type thing. There's a lot of different ideas, and I'm excited to choose ones for the events that I do in person. I try to choose paintings that are going to be good for adults and kids, because people are welcome to bring their children to participate as long as they're old enough to follow along. So
That's
should be
good.
fun. Okay, next up, you're going to mix yourself a green, and you want to have a light green, because it's the light green that you see here in the painting for the grass. And because of the fact that there's going to be black as another color on the ground, and there's going to be that sort of dark blue green, you want to make the green that we're making now bright enough that there's a good enough contrast between the two. So I'm saying you want to kind of go for not a lime green, but like one shade darker than a lime green. So you're going with a lot more yellow than you are blue in your green. I just mixed that. So I would say start with your yellow and put like a little bit of blue in it, and then see if you need to add a little bit more, rather than starting with blue and adding yellow. And then once you do that, we're going to apply it on both sides, but you're going to leave a white gap in the middle. So I'll show you here. Going all the way to the bottom like this. Then you're going to to go on the other side, and you're leaving this white area in the middle. And the reason why we're doing that is because part of that is where the waterfall is going to go over. And because we're not taking a break, I know I keep comparing to my in-person events, but that's one of the things that's nice about doing it in person, because you can take that break, is that you leave time for paint to dry. But right now we don't have the liberty of doing that. So we have to leave this space white so that when we put our waterfall over top after, we're not doing a white over top of dark color.
Right.
So it looks like it's, you want it to look like a waterfall and not like a grass fall.
Jo- Could people please mute again so we see Erin and her painting?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Wait a
I
minute.
want to mute again so that I show up bigger. Okay. All right, so just like, so when I was saying that we want to leave a white gap, picture it's about the same, width as your moon, and imagine that the width of your white gap is going to be approximately how wide your waterfall is. So it's nice to have it, let's say maybe about 3 to 4 inches wide, because that's going to be around the thickness of your waterfall. If Jolene was saying that I often do a moon or a sun in the sky. So that is kind of the go-to, like this, it's a standard way to make your sky look more interesting and not just be, blue or gray or yellow or whatever it is. But as you progress and as you, if you're going to explore on your own moving forward from this, you can look to ways to create dimension in your sky other than doing a sun or a moon. There's, you can do different kinds of clouds. You can do we all know that the sky does a million different things, right? So you just have to, a good way to kind of play around with that is if you have your phone with you and you see a cool sky, well, you take a picture of it. And then if you're going to go and do some painting, then you put your picture up on your phone and you can kind of try and work it out on a canvas. I often do that, take pictures, and from my photography, I end up doing paintings after. It's a really nice way to work with it. And I feel like every time that you are working from a picture too, you kind of have a memory associated with that image too. So it kind of brings more emotion to whatever you're trying to paint if you have a memory of the picture that was taken, Okay, so now, once you have your light green down, we're going to take some of that light green and mix it with blue and a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of black.
Oh.
You want a color that is kind of like like a forest green or like a deep aquamarine. If you want it, you know, here my water is a little bit more green. Here my water is a little bit more blue. So if you have a preference for one or the other, I'll hold this one up. This one you're going with more like a forest green. And this one has a little bit more blue and a little bit more black in it. I find in this one, the water looks deeper just because it's darker. And then what you're going to do with that color, with your large brush, is, and this is where, like, this is the kind of trickiest step I find. Don't do anything yet, I'll explain in a minute. So what you're doing is you're going in, from the middle, you're going about an inch or two down from where your sky meets your land. And that's when you're going to do that line right across, a straight line right across the canvas. And then a couple of inches below that, you're going to do a swooped line, a curved line. And this is going to give you your pond or your water, and then you fill that in with the dark color. Now it will get a little bit lighter as you fill it in because that light green is still a little bit wet, but that's okay. That's why we went a little dark. That's what the little bit of black was for, because you're counteracting the fact that it's going to mix in with that light green that we just applied. This is like the point in the painting where it's hard to see how it's all going to come together, because you just made this sort of big chunk of water that looks like it's floating on top of the light green and the white, but I promise it'll make sense in a few minutes.
Could people remember to mute again?
Oh, sorry, I think it's just Greta. Greta, would you mind putting your microphone on mute just so I show up better, please?
Mhm.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you all. Okay, if you want to show me how you're doing so far after that step, I'll let you know if you're on the right track. It was so nice to get that big ton of rain that we got last night. We needed it really badly. Oh, Greta, just hold it up a little bit more. Yes, very nice. Perfect. My grass was starting to look torched. And it was good for all the flowers. Very nice, Astrid. If you see that, so one side of your water is thicker than the other one, maybe just to thicken out that thinner side. I think if you're facing it, it must be the right side. Yeah. Nice, Peggy. Okay, good. You all figured out a good color. Very nice, Jolene. All right, good. We've all nailed it. Okay, now can wash your big brush, and you still have some of that light green. You're just gonna right here. So it's all green underneath the water, I mean below the water, but we're still keeping that white spot up top. So just fill in the gap on the bottom there. Okay. Now we have one more step that we're going to do on the bottom here, and then we're going to kind of let this dry and we're going to go back and work in the sky. That's one thing if you're doing, painting on your own. A good thing to do is to try and work in sections like this. We started at the top, then we worked our way to the bottom. We let the top dry a little bit. Now we're going back up to the top, letting the bottom dry a little bit. It's efficient if you want to keep going, Okay, so this last step that we're going to do on the bottom before we move to the top again is going to be with black paint. Now you can use your large brush or your small brush, whatever makes you feel more comfortable and what you feel like you have most control with. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to follow the line of where the ground meets the sky. And we're going to come down here and stop where it hits the white. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Stop where the green meets the white. And then we're going to fill that in black. This just creates a little bit more dimension in the ground for the finished product. And again, your green might be a little bit wet, so it might mix with your black and make it look a little bit brown, which is, or very, very dark green, and that's okay too. As long as the color is different, as long as it's different than the watercolor. You see, it's not much of a difference in color, but you can tell where the water stops. And then on the bottom, you're going to do the same thing, follow the swoop line of the bottom of the water. And you're going to kind of come all across on the bottom. But it goes lower in the middle. So you see that on the bottom, and then you fill it in to the bottom like that. Oops. Okay. Now, once you finish with the black, you want to clean your paintbrush really well. Make sure that you rub it against the bottom of your water container so that you're really getting all of the black out of the bristles. and then squeeze it off good on your rag or paper towel. Because we're gonna go back into white after. And whenever you're going from a dark color to a light color, it's really important to make sure that you get all that paint off. I've got this new project going. It's a commission that I'm going to be starting now that these classes are going to be over for the time being. And it's instead of doing it on a regular canvas, on a stretch canvas, it's like a wood board. I'll show it to you. I mean, I haven't started painting it yet, but it's an interesting material to work on. So you see, it's a wood board. It's almost like, I mean, it's thin plywood, but it looks like a canvas on the back. And then it's thin board that comes looking natural wood, and you gesso over it. So I put, well, first you have to sand it a little bit, and then I put 2 layers of gesso on it. And what it's going to be is kind of like a vignette of a bust of a woman, and then all flowers around it. So I'll be posting on Facebook as I develop it. I'll try and find the picture that the client sent me so I can show you to give you an idea. So this is like the kind of image that they wanted. I don't know if you can see with the reflection. You see it properly? See, it's like a profile of a lady with all flowers. I thought that because you can see in the gold work, there's a lot of texture. So I thought it would be a fun project to do on the wood. But yeah, I'm going to do it like vignette style. So we'll see. Okay. So has everybody finished with the black? Good, good. All right. So we're going to take our white paint, large paintbrush, and go back into the moon. Now we're going to fill in the middle of the moon with the white. And this gives us an opportunity to sort of perfect our circle, our line around our moon, if it wasn't so perfect before. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I always like to go a little bit over my original line. It makes it look like my moon is kind of on top of my sky rather than in it. If that makes sense. Okay, so your moon looks nice and big and bright now. And if you find that around your moon is like very dark, like that your white didn't mix in with your blue enough, and it's too, like there's too much of a contrast, white to directly dark blue, then you can go over with a little bit of white mixed with a little bit of blue now and give it a little highlight. And this is an opportunity to add some color into your sky. So you can leave it just being sort of white blue. Very nice, Astrid. You can leave it sort of just being white, blue like this, or in these examples here, I added some color in. So you see I added some pink into around the moon. And then that'll reflect afterwards in like the water, you know? I just find that with the blue and the green and the black, the painting can kind of look cold. So that's why in places I've added in some pink and some yellow to kind of warm it up a little bit. So I'll do that here. It doesn't have to be much. Or you can do a lot. And then while we're working on the moon, again, this is a time that if you wanted to keep your moon just white, then you can just keep it white like this. It glows a lot, it looks very bright, or you can add a little bit of yellow in there just to warm it up. And if you are adding yellow, you don't have to go over the whole thing. You can add a few specks or add a bit on, like, see how I did here? I added a bit on each side, but I still kept the middle part white. How's everybody doing? Good? Good. Very nice. Nice, Sheldon. Okay. Now there's one more thing that we're gonna do to our sky. And that's to add in our little stars. And you'll see, again, so on this example, I just did my stars in white. Whereas in this one, I added in some yellow ones as well. So it makes, what it makes is that, like, you know, when you look at the night sky, some of the stars look brighter than the other ones. It's as if some of them are kind of closer than other ones, you know? So if you want that effect, you kind of get that by doing the yellow and the white. The yellow ones look more faded, so they kind of look like they're further away. The white ones look brighter, so they kind of look like they're closer. So if you're going to do yellow ones, you still want to mix it with some white, because if you're going on top of a dark color being the blue, it'll be hard to see a straight yellow. So I would mix that with a little bit of white. So I'll do some yellow ones first, and then I'll do some white ones after. If you have a paintbrush that's small enough that you think you'll be able to get some nice small stars, and you can use your brush. But if your paintbrush is not very small, or if your bristles are kind of frayed, then you can do that trick where you go with the opposite end and just kind of dab them on. And we do this before we add the trees in, because then the trees look like they're in front of them. Whereas if you, because you'll kind of paint over a few of them a little bit, you know? Whereas if you do this after you've added the trees, it looks a little bit more contrived and like you painted the stars around the trees. So you can do them a little bit everywhere, or you can do them in kind of little clusters. Anywhere that's dark blue. Okay. Those will be my yellow ones. Now, I'm going to rinse that off and go and do some straight up white ones. Kind of like we're doing sky freckles. Okay. I did a lot. So you can see if you do the two-tone ones, it'll be more apparent when they're dry because the yellow will fade more, but you can already see that some of them stand out more than the others. Now our next step is our famous waterfall. So you can use a small brush or a big brush, whatever you think you're going to be more comfortable with. I'm going to use my big brush. Now, before you go on this, I'm just going to demonstrate how you do it. A lot of this has to do with the motion of your stroke of your paintbrush, because you'll be able to see that in the water when it dries. Like you can see here that I wasn't just doing very straight, rigid lines. What you do is you come in from the side and then you go down. Come in from the side and then you go down. So you start from the edges and move your way towards the middle. So I'll show you how I do that. So you start right on the edge of the line where the water meets the sky, sorry, where the land meets the sky. And then you're coming in and going down. And it's kind of this curved motion. And you see, you start on the edges. And again, when you are ending your strokes of your paintbrush, you just kind of let it fall away. You don't want to end it on a straight line, because that's what gives it the idea that the water is falling. Now, the good thing about this is that you can try it the first time, and if you feel like you don't have it, well, then you just let it dry and add more white on top afterwards. But also don't be afraid to have a little bit of movement in the top of your waterfall, like your line. Your line on the top of your waterfall doesn't have to be as straight as the line of the land to the sky. You see, it's a little bit more like bumpy because water has movement, right? So we're going for organic here, not perfect. And again, we left that white gap so that our white would look white on top of the grass. But if your grass is showing up a little bit through it, that's totally also okay because, you know, it's water, it's translucent, it's not opaque, so you would be able to see through it a bit anyway. And if it's like a trickling waterfall, well, then maybe it's falling gently into your pond here, but if it's got a good current, then there would be quite a bit of movement. So you would have a little bit more variety in, like a little bit more bumps in the top. See there, like I added in some, almost like a cloud at the top line there. It doesn't take much for it to actually look like a waterfall. Okay, once you're ready, you can show me your waterfalls. Very nice. Very nice, Shalyn. Nailed it. And what we'll do the next step, you know, we're not quite there yet, but what helps to give the idea of the waterfall and the movement is to then put the white circles around the base of it. Oh, Greta, you have to lift it up higher a little bit. More in front of your face. Oh yeah, there you go. Very good, Greta. Nice. Yes, we've got it. We've got falls. We've got falls. Nice, Peggy. Very good. Yay. Okay, so now even if you did use your big brush to do the white in the water, you definitely want to use your small brush because if not, it's going to look too thick. So what we did there is you kind of just create movement around the base of your waterfall where the waterfall meets the water. And that shows, putting this white there shows that there's motion in the water because, you know, as you know, if there's a waterfall, wherever it's hitting the pool that it's going into, there's obviously going to be ripples and there's going to be some movement in that water. And because our water is very dark, we want to bring some of that white water into the pond itself. So I'm gonna take my small
Yeah.
brush. Yes?
Uh,
I'm gonna take- oh,
I don't think I put this down far enough, right?
bring the painting
The
more in
dark-
front of your face so I can see the whole
I'm
thing.
sorry. The dark here, I didn't put it down far enough, did I?
I mean, it's okay. You could bring it down a little bit further if you wanted to. It would give you more room to play around with the white and the water, but
Okay.
it's not necessary. But if you still have some of the color left and you want to bring it down a bit, go for it.
Okay,
So right now, like you see, the water comes out this way. So when the waterfall falls into the water, it's going to spread out sideways. So whichever way it's spreading out, you want to kind of do these little arcs, like ripple lines, to show that that's where it's going out. You don't have to do a bunch, but I'm just showing you what the idea of the effect is, you know? So you see there you have like the ripple lines. And I mean, it's also, you know, Greta, as you were saying, you feel like you didn't go down far enough, but it's also relative to the size of our canvas. If we were working on a really long canvas, you could really bring it down far and have a nice big body of water there, you know? But this is just to give an idea. I mean, I could have even gone down farther if I wanted to, but there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's no perfect amount. I just almost dipped my paintbrush into my tea. If I had a nickel for every time I did that. What's fun is that you see now that the paint is drying a bit. So you see that even in my waterfall, you can see a little bit that the ground is coming through from behind it on the edges. And that's okay, that's what we want. We don't want it to look totally opaque. But if we would have brought the colors straight through, the white would, as it's drying, would be disappearing into the ground. So this is like a nice medium, you know?
My bottom of my painting, Erin, is still quite wet. So I haven't even started with the waterfall because
Okay.
I'm afraid that's exactly what's going to happen. So I think I'll wait till it dries and I'll watch the
You'll
video
do the
after.
waterfall after, that's fine.
Yeah.
So what you just missed while you were gone there was the next step that we had done was we did the ripple lines in the
Yeah.
water. So the idea is that where the waterfall is meeting the pond, there's obviously going to be some movement in the water. So there on the sides and in the front, we did some like arced on the sides and then sort of just a little bit rounded in the front ripple lines. And on, you know, in these paintings, I only did a couple of small ripple lines right around the right around where the waterfall hits. But here, just to show the idea of what you like, the possibilities, you can bring the ripple lines right out. I just suggest that you use a small paintbrush and you don't put too much white on it because you don't want the water to look more white than green. You just want to show where the white of the water kind of hits the green.
Okay.
So now that we're done we're going to plant our trees on the ground. Now, Astrid, if you can kind of, like if you haven't done your waterfall yet, but you can kind of gauge how wide your waterfall is going to be, just don't put trees like in front of where your waterfall is going to be. Otherwise, what we're going to do is take our small paintbrush. And so on each side, I have 3 trees. Now I did it symmetrically here. You don't have to do it symmetrically. You can do 2 and 3. You can do, you know, if you want to do them really tiny, you can do 4 or whatever. But the idea is that you want to have some in the background and you want to have some in the foreground. So that's what these different levels are for. So I'm going to, and now obviously if you're doing them back here, they're going to be smaller. And if you're doing them down here, they're going to be bigger, because the idea is that the ones that are down here are closer to you, the ones that are back here are further away. So I'm going to do 2 on one side and 3 on the other. So here I'm going to do 1 back there. And I'm going to do 2 back here.
What color are you using?
I'm using black, and I'm just doing the trunks for now. You don't want to put the trunks too close to each other, because then one's going to kind of blend into the other, but you also want to give yourself enough space to, if you want to do a few trees. So the ones in the front, even though I'm still using my small paintbrush and I'm still using black, I'm going to go a little bit thicker, just a little bit thicker with the trunk. And then the idea is to not have every tree end at the same level, right? I know it's hard to, I'm going to just finish doing these and then I'll show you what that looks like, because it's hard to see from far. Okay, so I have 3 on one side, I have 2 on the other side. And one of my tall trees, almost, one of my ones in the foreground, almost goes up to the very top of my painting. And then the ones in the back, which are the smaller ones, go to about like mid-moon level. But my goal was to not have any 2 trees end at the exact same point. These ones are close, but not exactly the same. And for sure, if you're going through your stars, you're probably going to catch 1 or 2 of your stars in your paint. So the black might mix with the white or the yellow, but that's okay. So I'll let you all plant your tree trunks. And if you want to show them to me to make sure that they're spaced okay, or to see if you should add any more, go ahead by all means. And then we'll get to putting in the foliage. And you know, in my examples, I did it with evergreen trees, but if you wanted to put like leafy trees in here, up to you. You can use your artistic license to make changes. Once you're done your trunks, you can just leave your small paintbrush with the black on, because we're going to use that. Yeah, Greta, that's great. Just 2 of your trees, the ones on the foreground, you have them stopping in what should be the water. So you want to bring them down, because like this dark part is the water. And I think that that's where you have your trees stopping. So you just want to bring them down further so that they're in the ground. Okay. So now we see that the black parts that we did in the ground here, these are basically just shadowed areas, right? Like in the foreground, it's the shadow underneath the trees, and here it's kind of where the ground slopes off into the water. So that's what that black is. It's really shadow, but I mean it's like a hard shadow, but sometimes it's hard to, like, for me when I was following the steps of this painting. Very nice, Peggy.
I'm still
Very
going
nice.
to do another one on the side, but
Yeah. For me, when I was first doing this painting, I thought, well, it's kind of confusing, all these lines that we're doing, but you see it come together in the end.
I'm gonna wait until after, and I'm gonna make that green line. I'm going to go
Lower.
down here more, and
Okay.
then I'll base my trees.
Okay. Good idea.
Then I'll put my trees.
Okay. Jolene, very nice. I saw you lifted yours up before I looked at it. Very good. Oh, nice, Astrid. And I see, okay, and that's where your waterfall is going to come down. Yeah, that'll be great. Okay, all right. We're in business. Okay, so now you're going to take your small, I mean, if your trees are very big and you want to go with a larger brush to do your pines, then that's fine. But I'm going to use my small brush just because I feel like I have more control. And I can play around a little bit more with the wispiness of it. So the idea is, so I mean, there's different ways to do this. You can come sort of straight out, and they'll have more of like a white pine look to it if you do it like that. Or you can do more like the spruce kind of look, or the Christmas tree, where you're coming down and it's a little bit feathered. So you're coming down and out. I always say picture Farrah Fawcett hair. And when I say that to my kids or teenagers, they're like, who? But only people who were alive around in the 70s know who I'm talking about. So there are kind of your options. Or if you wanted to do more of a leafy tree look, then you could just do kind of dots, like the blotches, you know, that we do when we do our leafy trees. So you could do them like that, like that. The idea is that you want to leave room. You want to be able to have space between whatever kind of branches it is you're doing, so it doesn't look like a big chunk of paint, so that you can see the sky coming through. You can also do a variety, like I just gave you demonstrating. And my suggestion to you would be to not bring your whatever it is, whatever kind of branches you're doing, don't bring them all the way down to the bottom, because if you bring them all the way down to the bottom, it's going to look like a lot of black on your canvas. So that's why we're kind of only going halfway down the trees in all of the examples. Jolene, you were talking about your friends who live across from where my mom just bought that house. And I drove by today and I was like looking at their property. They have a beautiful property. They take really, really nice care of their land and their gardens, and all their flowers are color coordinated and very, very nice. Oh, I can't hear you. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like. I mean, I did a variety of all the different trees, but this is kind of what you're looking for. You see, you can still see the sky through my trees. They're not big chunks of black, which is why I liked using the small paintbrush, because it enables me to not go too chunky. I find that when the bigger the paintbrush you're using, the more the paint is on it. And then all of a sudden you make a blob and, well, then it has to stay there. Or you have to wait until it dries and paint over, you know?
I had forgotten to plug in my laptop, so I was running low on power.
Ah,
Yeah, no, that's Brenda and Richard Howard across.
okay.
Yeah, they have a nice property there.
Gorgeous property. It's like, it's built like the opposite way as the one that my mom bought. Like them, they have all their land in the front of their house, and their house is at the back of the lot. Whereas my mom, the one that she bought, her house is like right at the front of the lot, and then she has a ton of space in the back.
Right, right. It'll be fun though for them, I think.
Yeah.
Your mom
It will
and they're moving in what, July 1st or?
July 15th, she takes
15th?
possession of the house.
Hmm.
I keep driving by and I go and I park. It's so funny. I go sometimes, I'll drive my daughter to school and then I'll bring my tea with me and I'll go and I'll park in the back in the driveway of the house and just sit and drink my tea and look at the land.
It's nice. It's beautiful.
Get ideas for what my mom can do, because it's, I mean, it's such a big property, you know, and she's got the double lot there.
And
I
a
know.
nice big, I think there's a barn or like a real
There
shed.
is.
at
There's
the
a big
back.
barn in the back.
That's handy.
I'm dying to get in there because the old owners, they left a lot of, like, you know, there's tools in there and there's like just like old boxes, old signs, and I'm like a history buff, so I love like looking through all like those old things.
It'll be fun
It will.
for sure. It's
And I mean, the
Brenda, her
house has
name.
been there since 1885. It was built, you know, so there's a
Right.
lot of history in it.
Oh, I'm sure it is going to be fantastic. Lots of fun. Good luck.
Lots of work, but lots of fun.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So the Howard's home, is it kind of, when was that built? Like around, is it? Oh, you're on mute again.
Unmute, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a long time ago. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, I'll you know, when you see Brenda on the other side, she'll be happy to meet you for sure.
But and all the homes in that little cluster that are built around like Debbie's and around the school, they're all the original homes of like that little block of Arundel, right?
I think so, for sure. No, it's a nice little community, you know, they have little neighbors and then there's the greenhouse there not far. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's very nice. Yeah, it's fun. Oh yeah, exciting.
Okay, so how's everyone doing with their trees? Greta, you're gonna wait to finish. Greta, did you put some of the foliage in your trees, or you're gonna wait for everything? Oh yeah, very nice. Yeah, that's great. And I like how they're all kind of different shapes, and they're different levels. Some bigger, some smaller. That's the idea. Okay. Nice, Astrid. Very cool. All right, so there's only a couple of steps left. And the couple of steps that we have left are the ones where it's kind of like you're going to choose what you want to do. It's a little bit like choose your own adventure. Because the next thing that we're going to do is put the little flowers at the base of the tree, base of the trees. So, you know, I have flowers at the base of my trees in the background and also in the foreground. And then the idea is, so here I did like, there's little dots of white in the water. So that was the idea, that it could be like reflection of, like, if you want to do it in white, it could be like reflection of the stars from the sky. But if you wanted to do them a few in color, like I did here, it would be the idea of, you know, a few of the flowers kind of floating in the water that fell from up here and are now floating in the water. So you can do some, you can do none. But the flowers that I did were, I did pink and I did yellow because that was the colors that I used in the sky. But if you want to do a light orange, or if you want to do kind of like a mauve, like a purple, or even a light blue, that would be fun too. Whatever color it is that you decide to do, you just want to make sure that it is mixed with quite a bit of white, because as I said before, if you're putting a color on top of an already dark color, you have to mix it with white or it's going to sink into that dark color. The white enables the color to stay lifted on top. So I'm going to do like I did before. I'm going to do some pink. So I'll mix some red with quite a bit of white. And now the base of your trees are probably still a little bit wet, but that's okay. And you can do the flowers just sort of dabbing with your small paintbrush. You can do them just around the base of the tree, or you can kind of go everywhere in the grass a bit. Kind of just like little ground cover, you know? The idea of what little crocuses would look like, or some phlox. At the house that my mom just bought there in Arundel, there's this little wildflower that grows around the base of the trees that I haven't seen here in Saint-Jovite, but it's like light blue with yellow and white in it. It's so cute. The prices of flowers sure have gone up this year. I bought a strawberry plant yesterday. 2 summers ago, I bought a strawberry plant. I think it was like $10.99. Yesterday, the same sort of bucket that I bought was $26.99. Yeah. But my daughter loves them, so I had to get one. So I did the pink, and now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do some light yellow as well. And you can go right on top of the light pink. Even if they mix together a little bit, it doesn't matter. And these little flowers brighten the painting up a lot because there is quite a bit of dark color in the painting. This is a really, really nice contrast. And as I said before, because there's a lot of cool colors in the painting, like the blues and the greens and the black, this warms up the painting a lot. I'm just gonna put a few little flower stragglers that fell into the water here. And while I'm at it, you can see here that in both my examples, I put just a little bit of the color reflected from the sky into the waterfall. So on one of them I did, this one I did the yellow and the pink, but I actually think I like this one better. This one I did just the yellow. And I feel it was more subtle and it worked better. So it's up to you. You don't have to put anything in it. If you have a waterfall that's already, the background, like the grass is coming through it quite a bit, then you don't have to add any more color. But if your waterfall is very sort of like thick, stark white, then it might be nice to add a little bit of yellow in it, just as like some color variety, just to give it a little bit of depth. And the good thing about it is that if you feel like, oh no, that was too much color that I added in, then you can just go back over with some white. Super nice, John. Very cool. And I like how you did yours lengthwise too. Your canvas is probably like a 16 by 20 or something. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. It gives it more of like a landscapey feel. And then there's really just one more step. And that would be to just put a little bit of highlight on your trees, like on the branches or leaves, whatever you did, on the side where the moon is. You know, you don't want to do it on the side that's away from the moon, but the side where the light of the moon would be hitting it. You could again take just some white, or it's nice to take white with a little bit of yellow too. And just so that it looks like the light of the moon is kissing your branches or leaves a little bit. Just on that one side, it creates some nice dimension. for your trees. It brings them to life a bit. You see how I did it just on one side, and it's not major. It's just, it just gives a little bit of dimension to your trees. It brings them from 2D into 3D a little bit. Now, oh, sorry, let me see again. Very nice. I think you could even do just a little bit more, maybe a little bit of yellow in the trees with the white. Did you put okay, a little bit of yellow would be nice. I think it would warm it up good. Well. If for Greta and Astrid, if you feel like now your painting has dried a little bit, where you could go and finish what you wanted to, and you want me to see, like, if you want to do that before we get off, then you could go and do that now. But if you want to wait until later, that's up to you as well. One thing that I also hadn't mentioned in any of the previous paintings that we did, but if you're if you're just using these as practice paintings and you're going and you're gessoing over them or whatever afterwards, and it's not you don't need to do it, it's not a big deal. But if you're keeping your paintings, if there's one that you do, or if there's all of them that you do, all the better, that you really like and you want to hang them up, and they're stretched canvas, they're not framed, you can go and paint the edges black. And it really gives it a nice frame to your canvas without costing you any extra money, and you can just hang it like that, A lot of people are doing that with canvas paintings too. Mind you, usually if they're going to hang them, they get what's called the gallery size, which is it's a thicker frame on the inside.
Yeah, the thicker canvas, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, those ones are quite a bit more expensive than the thin ones are. The difference between them really is that if you're hanging them, like after a while, ones with the thin wood, they'll warp, whereas the thicker ones,
right,
they'll stay solid.
I find that mine looks more like a fountain, which is okay. I mean,
No, I don't find, but one thing, so yours, it's more narrow at the bottom where it hits the water than it is the top where it starts.
That's right.
That might be why you're feeling that way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't mind it being a fountain.
Well, then there you go. It's a beautiful fountain. But I think that's why you get that impression.
Absolutely, totally, for sure.
So while we're finishing up, I just wanted to, for those of you who did want to see my artwork, if you go onto Facebook, if you want to take like if you have a pen and a paper, you can write it down. I'll walk you through getting there. Okay. You won't be able to do it right now because you're already on your internet, but.
Okay.
What, people only have one device going?
Well, it depends where you're situated. If you're in like I don't know, like where my dad is or whatever in Harrington, like there's no, having one device going is hard enough. There's no way you can have two devices going with the internet connection. Oh, Peggy, I can't hear you. You're on mute again. So if you go to facebook.com, you can go to, it's Erin McCarthy. Oh, that's backwards. Never mind. So if you, so let's say you go www.facebook.com / capital EAM and then lowercase without any space, art.education.events. Now, I mean, you can search me as well personally, which is just, I'm under Erin Ashley McCarthy. Because I have my regular Facebook page and then I have my like art page. And if you either do a friend request for me or you press like on my artist page, that way you'll be able to see if I advertise any events, or I also post about when I'm going to be doing the Legion classes online. And if I'm doing new paintings and stuff, then I'll post there. Or if you're doing paintings and you have a question and you want to ask me, then you can ask me through there. Whatever you like. And you can message me through either one of the profiles as well. Now the art page has been going for, I mean, I have work on there from years and years and years ago. So there's some stuff that's like really recent, and there's other stuff that is, you know, quite old. I'd say that I have stuff from my master's program, but I also have stuff from my bachelor's program, and I think even before then. So there's quite a variety. Yeah. So if you want to show me your paintings again, those of you who haven't, Peggy, I think you're still trying to get off mute, eh? It's not working. Nice, Greta. Okay, yeah, and you said you're gonna bring it down further and then bring them in. And then you'll do some little flowers around the base of the trees when you do that. Great. Very nice, Astrid. Oh yeah, the waterfall. Wow, you just whipped that off. It turned out really well. Very good.
Yeah.
Peggy, do you feel comfortable showing yours? Very nice. Big success, this painting, I find. The instructions at certain points were a little bit like, you didn't really know where we were going with them, but it worked out very, very well. And nice turnout.
This is my second round with this picture. So
Is it really?
yeah.
Oh, wow. You know, I was looking, we did this picture, I think it was back in 2017 or 2018, maybe, beginning of 2018.
Yeah.
I didn't, I thought about that for a second when you signed on. I went, huh, I did this painting once before. I wonder if she was there.
That's great. This one turned out much better.
Well, there you go. There you go. Worth the practice.
All the talk about the connectivity,
Yeah.
soon, I mean, this week they connected the wire to my house for Fibre Argenteuil.
Really?
They haven't done the connection inside my house yet, but my house,
Progress.
they brought the wire, you know, so it's on my road and it's to the outside of my house.
My dad said that in Fawn Lake, or in Lake McDonald, Fawn Lake or Lake McDonald, they were in doing, they're going to be connecting the Bell Fibe, which is going to make a huge difference for people in there?
It's not Belle5, it's Fibre Argenteuil.
Oh,
It's way cheaper than Belle5.
oh, that's great. Because I know that
Uh,
people who want a good connection, they're paying an arm and a leg to get any sort of connection. I have my cousin's husband. He's like always on call, and they have a cottage on Lake McDonald. And when they're up north, he needs to have a good connection. So he pays for it. But my goodness, he pays quite a bit of money to have that connection. So hopefully it'll be more accessible now.
He must be on satellite though. That's the only way you can get it at Lake McDonald.
Yeah, well, what they did was the company told him that he had to get signatures from a few different people in their little sort of like area, which he did. And because of that, they put up like another satellite or tower or whatever it was. But I mean, it's still a hefty price.
Yeah.
So, and my dad, like, there's no point for him in, well, up until now anyway, for him in Fawn Lake, like, he bought himself a laptop and then pretty much never used it because it was pretty much dial up, you know, like it was very, very slow. So maybe this will make a difference for him.
But
Mhm.
Fawn Lake, Lake McDonald, Bevan Lake, it's months away only.
Yeah, they said July.
Yeah,
would
in
be
some
when it
places
should be.
weeks, in some places weeks, you know, but
Yeah, yeah. It's a nice big difference, but I mean, especially since COVID, like there's a lot of people who are moving up to their cottages if they're 4-season cottages, you know. So they need to have more connectivity up there. Okay, ladies, great session today,
No,
and it's been super fun painting with you over these past weeks. Hopefully, we'll get to see you in person,
Yeah.
and maybe again online if the grant permits, but hopefully maybe not online so that we can see each other in person so that they don't have to ask for more Zoom grants because people are in lockdown again, you know. Hopefully we're done with that.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Anyway,
Nice
thank
to
you
see
very
you,
much.
Greta.
inclusive
I
is coming,
enjoy,
we're getting second shots.
yeah.
Pardon?
I got my second shot.
Oh,
Me too.
It's coming on Sunday.
my
Great.
dad got the second shot on Friday, I think it was. He went and stood in line in St. Agatha because he was booked to get his on Sunday in Montreal at the Glen. But instead of driving all the way down there and fighting with all the traffic,
Mhm.
he went and stood in line in St. Agatha, and he stood there for a while. But I mean, it didn't compare to having to drive back to Montreal and stuff, you know.
Right. No, that's great. I think,
I'm gonna get my second one soon.
well, that's great.
I
Well,
got mine last night.
super. Well, thank you for your upbeat manner, Erin. I think you have a very good
My
way.
pleasure. Thank you. Thank you
So-
for allowing me to show my upbeat manner.
Well, it's good. I appreciate it, you know. So thank you, and we'll see you soon, I'm sure, soon.
Great, ladies. Have a nice
Thanks.
day. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.